Federal appeals judge pushing back on the Trump administration's deportation, saying alleged Nazis got more respect from the U.S. during World War II than the Venezuelan migrants shipped to El Salvador. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. That's our top story this hour. Right now, the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court is hearing arguments over the Trump administration's use of the centuries-old Act of 1798 for those deportations. Judge Patricia Millett, the justice nominated to the circuit by Barack Obama, started the hearing by calling out the Trump administration's move to use the wartime authority. She argued that the alleged Nazis were given hearings and subject to established regulations, while the alleged members of the Tren de Aragua were given no such rights. Here's her argument.
But the point here was that there were plane loads of people. I mean, it's a class action. There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here, where the proclamation required the promulgation of regulations, and they had hearing boards before people were removed. And yet here, there's nothing in there about hearing boards. There's no regulations, and nothing was adopted by the agency officials that were administering this. People weren't given notice. They weren't told where they were going.
Well, this, of course, comes in response to the hundreds of Venezuelans flown to that notorious prison in El Salvador over the weekend under the policy, despite a verbal order from the federal judge, James Boasberg, who called for those planes to turn around. The Venezuelan migrants eventually landed in El Salvador, and you can see the images here that were captured of them being led into the prison in chains and shackles, their heads fully shaved. Let's bring in senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, also senior Washington correspondent Devin Dwyer. So, Devin, what stands out to you so far from the hearing? I know you've been listening to it since it started.
Truly extraordinary and riveting hearing, Kira. I mean, these are the types of arguments, as one judge said just a few moments ago, that are unprecedented. Both sides using that word today in this debate. A lot of tough questions for the Justice Department attorney defending President Trump's late-night secret signing of that proclamation. Remember, it wasn't published, and quickly shuttling these people out of the country without so much as any due process, landing in a third country. Today, you heard that judge, Patricia Millett, well respected here in Washington, appointed by Barack Obama, but simply trying to get some answers as to what sorts of process was available to these men. She conceded that the president has broad power under the Alien Enemies Act to remove people suspected of undermining the United States. She said perhaps these were those people. But even in the few rare instances in our history when it has been invoked, there has been some process to allow a chance for those people to say, hey, I'm not a Nazi, or hey, I'm not a member of that gang. That did not happen here. Kira, one of the judges on this three-judge panel was appointed by President Trump, Judge Justin Walker. He took an interesting line saying that both sides had actually found some common ground. He says that the government concedes that those men had an opportunity to contest their findings. It just their detention. It just didn't come in this case. That's called an habeas process, when you can go to a court. So one remarkable headline so far today is that the Trump administration seems to be saying that if you're detained under the Alien Enemies Act, you can go to court. Just it didn't work the proper way in this instance. They're pushing back. The argument is ongoing, Kira, and whatever this three-judge appeals court panel decides could have a significant impact on these types of deportation flights going forward.